big decision from the nation's highest court tonight. It's a major victory for a former governor who has fought for years to get his good name back. The big question tonight, is Bob McDonnell off the hook, or will he start much of the legal process all over again? I'm Anita Blanton. Tom has the night off. It's a decision that surprised many, mainly in the fact that it was unanimous among the 8 current Supreme Court justices. That decision overturned the corruption conviction for the former governor, who was found guilty 2 years ago of accepting more than $175,000 in gifts and loans from a wealthy businessman. The ruling also will have a ripple effect when it comes to bribery cases involving politicians. 10 on Your Side's Andy Fox has covered the case since the beginning and has a look at what it all means. Andy?
Well, Anita, it means that McDonnell's case could be dismissed or there could be a new trial. Now, late this afternoon, Bob McDonnell sent this message. From the outset, I strongly asserted my innocence before God and under the law. I have not and would not betray the sacred trust the people of Virginia bestowed upon me during 22 years in elected office. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote, "There is no doubt that this case is distasteful. It may be worse than that. But our concern is not with tawdry tales of Ferraris, Rolexes, and ball gowns. It is instead with the broader legal implications of the government's boundless interpretation of the federal bribery statute." Attorney Hunter Sims.
What that court is telling us is that they don't like overly broad laws that allow prosecutors boundless discretion to charge people with crimes.
The court ruled setting up a meeting, calling another public official, or hosting an event does not, standing alone, qualify as an official act. Appellate court expert Steve Emmert.
And if I had to pick right now, what will the Fourth Circuit do? I think it's much more likely than not that they'll send it back and say, you're going to have another trial under what the Supreme Court says is the correct jury instruction.
That McDonnell would have had to initiate a research study for Johnny Williams' product, Anatoblock, in the state labs in exchange for $170,000 in gifts and loans, or that he used his position to exert pressure to do so, or that he advised another official knowing the advice would form the basis for an official act. And Sims says that will be the trouble if the government retries the case.
Today, I'm very happy for my good friend, Governor McDonnell, for his wife.
Bob McDonnell's 30-year friend and former state attorney general Mark Earley spoke to reporters in Richmond after the court's decision.
That the kind of things that Bob McDonnell did were not criminal and were not within any common sense definition of official acts. There was never any quid pro quo.
McDonnell, who is deeply spiritual, wrote, "Over the past 40 months, God strengthened and comforted me through the love and many support of friends, family, and even strangers, through his abundant, miraculous, and amazing grace, and through the eternal truths of his holy word. It is my hope that this matter will soon be over and that my family and I can begin to rebuild our lives." You can see the entire McDonnell statement online at wavy.com. In the newsroom, Andy Fox, 10 on Your Side.
Thank you, Andy. As for prosecutors in the case, the U.S. Attorney's Office tweeted simply that it's reviewing the decision and there's no further comment at this time. Current Governor Terry McAuliffe weighed in on today's ruling. He was in Hampton Roads this afternoon to sign legislation that'll make it easier for military medics and corpsmen to transition into hospital health care after they leave the service. McAuliffe told our Liz Palka that he's been sympathetic toward McDonnell and reached out to him. He also reminded us the case is not over yet.
Listen, from day one, I have been very sympathetic to Governor McDonnell. My thoughts and prayers have been with Bob and his family. I have continually outreached to Governor McDonnell during my time as governor. We'll see what the Fourth Circuit does, but I think this is one more step toward closure on this, and I think that's what we all want.
The decision in former Governor McDonnell's case could have an impact elsewhere. The closest one, the case against McDonnell's wife, Maureen. She was convicted of corruption and was sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in prison. Her appeals were put on hold while the Supreme Court considered her husband's case. No word yet on how the ruling will affect her case. And then there's how this will affect the corruption case against Norfolk City Treasurer Anthony Burfoot. His case was put on hold until after the McDonnell's decision as well. Burfoot is accused of taking nearly $500,000 million in cash and gifts in exchange for political favors over 4 years. Our coverage of today's decision continues at 7 on Fox 43 and on wavy.com. On the main story, you'll find the full ruling by the Supreme Court as well as all of our previous coverage.